So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to ask you a question. You raise your hand. Answer the question. You do need to read. Actually, don't read. You do need to listen to the first question because it's not what's on the screen. All right, I'm going to read it to you and then explain what I want to know. The sum of the measures of the interior angles of a polygon. Someone, in layman's terms, tell me what in the world this is asking.
So it's asking like how many triangles there are. Like
Close.
Each triangle's 180. So it's asking you to add all the measures together.
But why? To get what?
To find how many degrees is it?
To find how many degrees is inside of it. Perfect. So it's asking how many degrees, good catch, how many degrees are inside of any polygon. How do we find that?
You count
Raise your hand. Good. Oh, sorry. I assumed you were going to get it correct. N minus 2 times 180. What does N stand for, Nicole?
the number of sides.
The number of sides. What does N minus 2 stand for?
The number minus 2.
But why do we do that, Haley?
The number of triangles.
That's the number of triangles. Look at that. 2 for 1. All right, times 180. This one, the sum of the measures of the exterior angles of any polygon. So this one is asking, how much do the exterior angles add up to? Audrey?
360.
It is 360. 360. Equal sides on a polygon. What is that word?
Regular.
Equilateral. Perfect. Equal angles in a polygon. Go ahead, Abby. Equiangular. What is Mrs. Marshall's daughter's name? Zoe. She is. What's Mrs. Marshall's favorite color?
Blue.
You gotta raise your hand. What do you think?
Purple.
Nope.
Blue.
Nope.
Red.
Nope.
Black. Green.
It's green.
Yes.
What's Mrs. Marshall's husband's name? I feel like you know everything. Yeah, what you got?
That's what happens when I'm on your phone.
It is Jonathan. I know you have a little cheat.
Stop calling him Haley.
What is it called when they have equal sides and equal angles? Never mind. Audrey?
Regular.
It is called regular. It's my left hand. Regular. So, we're going to talk about parallelograms today. What is the word that pops out with parallelogram? Parallel. So, you don't have to write this down yet on your notes. It's just for us to talk about. By looking at this picture and the ones on your page, how many sides does a parallelogram have? 4 of them. So that makes it a quadrilateral. So it's a quadrilateral in which it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. What do these triangles mean? It means that they're what? They're parallel. So triangles mean parallel. It's okay. The lines like this mean that they're congruent. All right? So there are 4 properties because of this. The first one, this will go in line 1. Opposite sides are congruent and parallel. So the opposite sides are the same measure as well as parallel. Number 2, deal with the angles. Opposite angles are also parallel. What? Opposite angles are congruent. Get it together, Mrs. Marshall. All right, number 3, deal with the other angles. So what is opposite of angle A? Angle C, and opposite of angle B is angle D. Just got to define the word opposite because people still don't know what that means. However, the angles next to each other are not opposite. They're called something else. It starts with a C. Can anybody guess what it's called when you have angles right next to each other? Starts with a C-O-N. Consecutive. Good job. So consecutive angles. Do these 2 angles look like they're the same width?
No.
No, so they're not congruent. One of them is obviously larger than the other. They're not congruent, they're supplementary. So they will add up to 180 degrees.
Shut up.
Number 4. Diagonals bisect each other. So that means the diagonals, no, but I can hear you. Diagonals, like this one, LJ, it cuts the other diagonal in half. So it means MB is congruent to BK. So if MB was 5, what's the measure of BK? 5. And what would the measure of the whole line be? 10. All right, and the same thing with the other diagonal. This diagonal of MK cuts this line in half. Same idea. So if you had an algebraic expression, which you don't have on these examples, that's why I'm showing this. If we said LB was x plus 2 and BJ was, 3x plus 6, what do we know about LB, which is right here, and BJ? They're equal to each other. Perfect. So you'd set them equal. However, if I, instead of giving you BJ, I gave you LJ. LJ is the length of the whole line. So does the whole line look like it is the same length as LB? It is not. So in this one, you would need to do one of many things, I guess. If LB is x plus 2, what is the length of JB? It's also x plus 2. And the whole line would be 3x plus 6. So then you would add the two smaller ones, x plus 2 plus x plus 2, and they would equal the whole length of the line. Does that make sense? This is actually from 1.2, going all the way back. You will have one of these on the partner sheet that you're going to be doing. Okay? So, now that we have that out of the way, we're going to do the 4 problems at the bottom of your page, and then we'll be finished for the day. If we look at the number 1, x, is it a side or an angle? A side. What do we know about sides? Their opposite sides are congruent. So what is opposite of x plus 3? 17. So we set them equal. So then x equals 14. With y, we have y minus 2. Again, is this a side or an angle? Side, so it'll be congruent to the side it is opposite to. So y minus 2 equals 38. Add 2 and y equals 40. Ta-da! Number 2, we got a plus 5, which is a side. It will be congruent to the side it is opposite to. So if a plus 5 equals 15, then a equals 10. And then B, is it a side or an angle? An angle. The only other angle we're given is 111. Are they opposite or consecutive?
Opposite.
Opposite. So opposite angles, if we remember, are congruent. So we're going to set them equal. Equals, what, 3B? Divide by 3. And B equals 37. Questions over these two? Sweet. And this next one is the hardest one, at least on your paper. Because we have multiple angles, we need to figure out which one's going to be congruent to 124. Which one do we think will be congruent? 2U, because they're opposite. So 2U equals 124. Divide by 2. And U equals 62. This is why I say it's kind of the harder one. We need to figure out what V minus 3 is equal to, because it is not 124 and is not 128. It's not 180 either. What we do know is that these two angles are consecutive. And what do we know about consecutive angles? They're supplementary. They add up to 180. So you can do one of two things. You can add 124 plus V minus 3 and set it equal to 180. Or you can figure out what this angle equals in general. So you would take 180, subtract 124, which is 56, right? So that bottom right angle equals 56. But it's not what V equals. We would solve from there. You'd get the same answer either way you did it. This one, the number's smaller. So if we added 3, V equals 59. So when they're right next to each other like these two, they will add up to 180. So if you found out what this one equals, you could solve that way. Are we all okay with this one? How you feeling, Audrey?
I feel good. I
Good.
got jelly roll stuff.
Okay. I'll tell you a story in a second. All right, number 4, are these sides angles or diagonals? They're diagonals. So 27 and 3s are all a part of the same diagonal, and it's actually cut in half by the other diagonal. So if it's cut in half, that means 27 is equal to 3s, and 3s is equal to 27. So divide by 3, s equals 9. And guess what we do to the t plus 5? Set it equal to 19. Yep, same thing. T plus 5 equals 19. So t equals 14. So I know that you guys are extremely smart students, and I know that writing work on this can be annoying. Like, what I expect of you is to at least write the equation like t plus 5 equals 19. If you do the rest in your head, that is fine, but I at least want to see what you did. That makes sense? This way, if you completely did it wrong, and I see that you completely did it wrong, I can at least give you direction. But if you made a simple math error, I could just tell you, hey, 4 plus 2 is 2. I have had to discuss that today. 4 minus 2. 4 minus... My life. 4 minus 2 is 2. Whatever. You get it. See, we all make mistakes.